no 10 sippers. This is Shantara and welcome back to my channel. I pray that you are well, doing amazing, feeling amazing, holding on to hope and faith, you guys. I have been thinking, like, I know that probably because of my childhood and like trauma and different things, like my memory is so horrible. So like it's hard for me to try to figure out like story times. Like I know I've had some things happen in my life, but I'm like, dang, I just can't remember. I don't remember. So when I'm sitting down and I'm talking to my sisters, that's when I can kind of like figure out, or, you know, we can kind of like come up with some things that has happened, right? So we are about to get into this story time, y'all, about, like I said before, I don't have any regrets in life. Yes, I have made some choices and decisions that I am not proud of, but I believe that those situations and circumstances, you are to grow from them, you are to learn from them, you are to repent from them, and to never turn back again. So this is something that I did. I'm not proud of. I will say the only thing that I do regret in my life is giving my body away. And if I could go back and change the hand of time, that is the only thing that I would change about myself, is I would not have given my body away, and I would have waited until marriage. That is the only regret. That has nothing to do with the story, but anyways, okay, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all the story about the first time I ever went to jail. Like, ever went to jail. Okay, y'all, I had never been in trouble. I had never even had a ticket. Like, after my mom passed at 15, I was living with my aunt for a little bit, but I eventually got my own place. I was living, you know, on my own. I was working and all that stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? At a young age, like just handling it. So I think this was in I do remember this. This was in 2002. This was in 2002. This was in 2002. I had just buried the love of my life. I told y'all that story time, how I found him dead. So I had just buried him not too long ago. And I don't know why we were in between jobs or having a hard time or couldn't figure it out. But I know rent was due. My sister had just had a baby. You know, I was dealing with burying him. I was going through so many emotions, dealing with so many different things that came with that. The baby that he had that I found out at the funeral, all this stuff. Like, I had a car, something was wrong with my car. I had a Caprice at the time. The Caprice needed to be fixed. Like, it was so many things happening and going on at that particular time, right? And so me and my sisters are very close, and my best friend D. So it's my best friend D, my sister Shanice, and then it was me, Chantel, which she wasn't really around like that. Yes, she was. But it was Chantel, but she wasn't a part of what we had going on. So we were kind of like just trying to put our heads together, trying to figure out, okay, like, what are we going to do for money? Like, when is the next time anything is going to pop? Like, just trying to figure out, just kind of like in a panic. So I'm in a panic. We're in a panic trying to figure out, you know, where's our next meal going to come from? We needed groceries. Like, it was just all bad at this particular moment. Now, I do know now that you are supposed to wait on God, because the enemy is so crafty. I keep telling you that he is so crafty. He knows exactly what to do, and he will put things in your face that is glitter. But like mama always said, baby, everything that glitters is not gold. So we're stressing out. All this stuff is going on, right? So I take a walk. Down Stockdale Highway. I remember, I will never forget. It's some things I do really remember vividly, but a lot of times my memory is so horrible. So I remember walking down Stockdale Highway, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, we got to figure this thing out. Like, we got to get food. The baby need milk. Like, we got to pay these bills, like the car, everything. So I'm walking down Stockdale Highway, y'all, and on the side of the street, I look down, and there is a stack of freaking checks. A stack of freaking blank checks. Like, I don't know what. And I've never dealt with fake checks, but I knew that my best friend had been involved. And that's part of her testimony in her history, how God brought her out and how she, you know, had an instance with, you know, I think something like that she had to do with it or whatever. I don't know. But we've changed our life around. God is so good. So I find a stack of empty checks. So I pick up the empty checks, which I know was the enemy. And I pick up the empty checks, but I ain't thinking about that at this moment. So I pick up the checks and I go back to the house, and I'm like, apartment. And we live upstairs, and I'm like, oh my God. So I go to D and I'm like, D, I found these checks. Like, we can at least, what can we do? And she like, okay, well, we can at least get the bills paid, go to the grocery store. You know, it's really not going to come back until like 3 to 5 days. Like, we can at least get what we need as far as get a few clothes, like things that we needed right then and there. Get the baby some food. We went grocery shopping. I think my sister went to like a cash advance place and got some money so that we could pay bills and we could take care of what we needed to take care of, right? And so after we get done with that, and we went shopping too. So we went and bought some clothes and stuff because we were like, dude, we were like in need. Like, we needed like so bad. But okay, and then so I take a check and I go to the bank, right? So we already got the story. We like, if anything happens, we put that she was buying a washer and dryer from us. It's a Mexican girl, 5'9", about 175 pounds, brown hair. That's all we know. She was a friend of mine. The girl was a friend of mine, and she sent her friend over to buy the washer and dryer. So I trusted her. This is the story. So this is the story we like. If anything happens, my friend sent over her friend to buy a washer and dryer. So we trust her because she's my friend, whatever. Mexican girl, 5'7", brown hair, 170 pounds. Like, that is the story. Mexican girl, brown hair, 170 pounds. Like 170 to 180 pounds. Like, that's all we know. And so I take the check and I go to try to cash the check, right? So I go to the bank where the check is drawn off of, which probably wasn't smart at all, which I know it probably wasn't. So I go to the bank to try to get the money out of this account, right? And so, which they probably got her original signature and all that stuff on there. So I go to present the check at the counter, right? And it's taking them forever. Like, he looking at the check and he looking at me, and my palms are starting to freaking sweat. Like, I ain't never been involved in nothing like this. I don't know nothing about, all I know is let's work, let's get this bread, and let's live how we live. I don't know about scheming, scamming, and doing all of that. Like, that's just not who I am. Well, obviously, it was who I was at that moment. But anyways, I'm at the counter and I'm like, okay, oh my God. So I'm nervous. I'm starting to sweat. My palms are sweaty, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, I ain't tripping. The girl, look, Mexican girl, 5'7", 170 pounds, brown hair. That's all I know. So it's taking him a long time, and he looking at the check, and then he looking at me, and he like, okay, you know, whatever. And then he had me sign the back of it or whatever, and he's like, hold on. And he locks everything up, and he goes to the back. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm waiting at the front for a little bit. I'm waiting. But then something is just telling me, like, something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's taking too long. Something is going on or whatever. And then I'm just like, it just didn't feel right. So I didn't wait for him to come back. I freaking took off. So I took off. I'm like, no, I'm not. I can't do this. I can't, you know? So I take off, and I go back to the house, and I'm like, girl, that did not work. He kept it. She was like, where's the check? I'm like, he got the check. I'm like, I left. I couldn't do it. It was taking him too long. I think he's on to us. So we get rid of all the checks at the house. We get rid of all the checks. We throw away everything. We take the tags off of all the clothes, you know what I'm saying? And we get rid of the physical evidence of what could have been as far as the checks, right? And so by this time, I don't know if the money place or the bank ended up somehow, some way, cops end up boop, 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 boop. And we like, okay, we ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying? It's the Mexican girl. It's not us. She came to buy the washer and dryer. That's the reason why I was trying to cash the check. I don't know, whatever. So they looking around. So they searched the house. I am literally scared. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what have I got myself into? Like, I'm thinking in my head, but we playing it cool. I don't have nothing. The girl came, bought the washer and dryer, and, you know, was trying to cash a check. That was it. And so they went through our stuff. I don't know why. I think me and Dee was going out of town. Me and my best friend was getting ready to go out of town. I don't know what we were about to do, but I was holding her ID and stuff in my wallet because she didn't have her purse. And so when they came to check my ID and stuff like that, they were like, we see how you guys play. Oh, you're her and she's you, and you guys play this fraud game. So they put fraud on us. And I'm like, no, that's not what it was. Like, obviously we're in a fraud type situation, but that's not what we're doing. So they just automatically accuse us And I get it because of what was going on anyway. So they got us for that for fraud. I had her ID and her stuff in my purse. I was holding it for her. We best friends, been best friends since freaking the womb. Our moms was best friends. And so okay, right? And so anyway, so that happened. They get us for, they didn't find the checks. They didn't literally find the checks. They were like, well, we see all the clothes and we see all the groceries and we see, you know, something that's going on or whatever. So they take me, they take D, and they take Shanice, and they freaking lock us up. And she's like bawling, crying. I'm just so scared. Like, I'm not crying, but I'm terrified. But I'm thinking, okay, they don't have nothing on us. So if they don't have nothing, there's nothing can happen to us. Like, they don't have the checks. They don't have proof of anything. There's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I was trying to cash the check, but obviously I knew something. The girl had to be lying if it was taking so long. So that's why I left and, you know, whatever. So Chantel, my younger sister, she ends up staying there with the baby. Because mind you, Shanice had just, Monique was probably like 1.5. She was a little baby, going on 1 something. She was little. So my younger sister ends up staying at the house, and she crying like, please just stay with the baby until we figure it out. So the cops take us to jail. We go to jail, we go downtown, and we sticking to the story. Mexican girl, I'm pretty sure y'all know by now, say it with me. Mexican girl, brown hair, 170, 80 pounds. That's all we know. Came to buy the washer and dryer. This is the story. Stick to the story. So I don't know. This is what I'm telling you. So we're in interrogation, and they got us in 3 separate rooms. They got my sister down here, they got me in the middle, and then they got D down here on the other end. And so this is the story. So this is what I'm telling them, and they're interrogating us, asking us questions and questions. Well, they got you on camera, and I'm telling them, like, I'm trying to cash the check. She bought the washer and dryer, the Mexican girl. Like, I don't know. She's a Mexican girl, 170 pounds. She got brown hair. That's all I know. So they knew something was up. Like, but I'm like, this is the story. If they don't catch us, if they don't catch anything, there's nothing. They're going to have to let us go, right? So, okay, this is the story. I'm telling the story, detailing the story. All of a sudden, I hear my sister just bawling, crying her eyes out. I gotta get home to my baby. I can't believe this is happening. Oh my God, we just gonna. And then he was like, your sister just told the truth or whatever. Your sister said there is no Mexican girl, there is no, you know, whatever. And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, no. He was like, so what is it? I'm like, Mexican girl, 5'7", 170 pounds. That's all I know. Brown hair. What? And so they bring my sister to the room where I'm at. And she is literally bawling her eyes out, crying, snotting, and my whole heart just fell in to my feet. And I'm just like, and she like, let's just tell the truth. There is no Mexican girl. We have the checks. Let's just give it up and do what we got to do. And let's just get over this. Let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just tell, I already told or whatever. So he looked at me and he like, so what? And I'm like, what she said. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, well, what is the story? I'm like, whatever she said. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I know at this point I'm called, but I'm not just fit to blurt out and say all this. I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. I'm not fit to, come on now. So I'm like, okay, so she crying and stuff, and I'm feeling so bad. So I'm like, it's all my fault. I'm the one who found the checks. I'm feeling so bad. So I'm like, okay. They got my girl down here, my rider. This girl will go to hell and back. D is so down. If you needed anybody else on your side, on your team, who will never let you down, who will never always be right then and there and will ride for you and do what, that's her. So we done already gave it up. She down here in the next room, Mexican girl, brown hair, and they've already told. This is what they tell her. They're like, the Shanice done already told, Shantara done already confirmed it. You know what I'm saying? And you sitting up here still lying. She was like, look, all I know is Mexican girl, brown hair, 175 pounds, brought the washer and dryer. And they like, we just cannot believe this girl is telling them. They was like, girl, the gig is up. She was like, Mexican girl, brown hair, 170 pounds, brought the washer and dryer. So they was like, Shantara already told, you might as well just stop playing games. She was like, no. She was like, she said her exact terms, but she was like, that's my beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear nothing. And then it was like, the gig is up. And she was like, I want to hear her. I got to hear her and look at her and say if the gig is up. So they bring her out in shackles, hand shackled, feet shackled. They bring her to the room and they like, And she looked at me, and we look at each other in the eye, and she was like, and I'm just like, the gig is up. You know what I'm saying? Like, my sister is the meltdown. She got to get back to the baby. Like, it's over. And then she was just like, okay. And they was like, what do you mean? Okay. She was like, I just needed to hear her say it. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at her, and if she said that it is what it is, it is what it is. So she was like, okay. And then, like, she literally had to be brought to the room, because if not, she was going to her grave with Mexican girl, brown hair, 5'7", 170, 80 pounds. She was going to her grave, baby, with that story. Trust and believe. Best friend, ride or die, like, literally, for real, for real. She was not. If they, that's why she said, walk me to him. Because they was like, it's already up. She done told the story. And they telling her the story. She was like, she still wouldn't budge. She was like, Mexican girl, 5'7", what? And so she was like, well, bring her to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go see. I need to see her for myself. I need to hear it out of her own mouth. Because, you know, sometimes the cops can kind of get you mixed up or whatever. But she wasn't going for it. She was like, I need to see. So once they brought her to me, and I was like, okay. So we ended up she was already dealing with some other stuff. So I think she did a little bit more time than me. But God is so good, and he knows your heart. You know what I'm saying? And so we ended up getting out. I think we did like 3 days or whatever. And my mugshot, I'm just cheesing, like, and she was like, the lady was so mad. She was like, you think this is a game? You cheesing, you smiling on your mugshot. I'm like, no, I'm never coming back. Like, you don't understand. Like, I've never been in trouble. I've never been, like, I'm not worried. She was like, that's what they all say. You'll be back. You'll be back. And I'm just like, you know, in the way they treated you, and the way and I've always wanted to experience jail. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I always wanted to see what it was like in the inside, how it was. And baby, it wasn't even prison, but it was everything that I proved worse. I'm like, they treat you like freaking trash. But and it was people in there that killed their babies, and the lady in there that I was in there with, she had drowned her. I was just like, this is not for me. I don't belong in here. I would never do such a thing. I'm like, please, God, like, work it out. Like, come on. So we had to wait until our court date, and then they saw our history. We had never done anything, so we kind of like got a slap on the wrist or whatever, and we were released. And so, like, years and years after that, I think it was like 8 years later, and y'all know my background is medical. It's medical. It's working with the mentally disabled, so you cannot have that type of stuff on your record. They got me for burglary to the 2nd degree, receiving stolen property, and what else was it? I think it was burglary. It was burglary and receiving stolen property, and burglary to the 2nd degree, and identification fraud or something like that, because they thought that me and her was exchanging, which wasn't true. Turn that down. I'm wrapping up a video. Go in there. I'll be right there. And so they had all that stuff on my charger. And I'm like, I cannot. And so a lot of jobs that I was getting, once my background came back, I couldn't get the job. And I'm like, this is my future. Like, this is my life. Like, I cannot allow one mistake to determine everything. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, you guys know I want to go into nursing, and that's always been something that I've tapped into. And just like the medical background, like, you have to have a clean background. And so after all these years went by, I think it was probably about like 10 years. It was probably like 8 years. It was probably like 8 or 7 years passed. And I ended up filling out the paperwork for expungement and just pouring out my situation to the judge about what happened and who I am and my history, and, you know, where I'm going and where I see my future, and the fact that I had never been in trouble before, not even a ticket. This was, you know, a mistake that I had made, and I was just asking him to, like, please just show me some grace and some mercy so that I can go on with my life and live my life, and please expunge my record. So I appear in front of the judge, like, and God knows your heart. I'm telling you, like, he literally knows your heart. Like, God knew I had never, you know, God knew that that was nothing that was ever involved in. He knew that that wasn't my character. He knew that even though I shouldn't have bit the bullet, it was something that I did anyway. You know what I'm saying? I did it. You know, there's no denying that. But God knows your heart, and that's the beautiful thing about God. Like, anybody can say what they want about you. They can throw whatever they want at you, but at the end of the day, as long as God knows, and as long as you and him know, and you have that relationship with him, baby, when I went in front of that court, and presented myself in front of that judge for the expungement of my record, baby, God showed up, showed grace, showed favor, showed mercy, and that man expunged my record, gave me a paper saying that this girl has completed all the laws of the land, she made a mistake, she is a law-abiding citizen, and just clear my name, clear my background, y'all. And I am just like, woo, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah. And plus, it's been so many years, I don't even think it would come up again, because I've never had anything after that, and that was in 02. So, yeah. So, y'all, that is the time that I went to jail. Like, first time ever, last time ever, unless somebody do something to these kids. Other than that, I went to jail, y'all. I literally went to jail. We went to jail for like 3 days. And it was like, it was so horrible, baby. I was in there with the people, and I'm like, oh, this is not me. I would never. I'm like, you did what? You killed who? Like, oh, this is not me. God, please help me. I was in there crying like, Lord have mercy. But sometimes life and experience has to be your best teacher. And baby, if that wasn't the best teacher. See, some people don't learn from their lessons. Some people don't learn from their experiences, but baby, it only takes a couple of times for me, and in that instance, it only took one time. So I'm learning, my eyes are open, my ears are open, my heart is receptive, and I ain't gonna be able to do it. My background is now clean. I am a law-abiding citizen, baby. I obey the laws of the land, because that's just how I move. And so, yeah, that is the time that I went to jail, you guys. So if you ever need a best friend, you better get one like D, because she gonna ride with you. She is the one. She is the one. She will take it to her grave with a straight face. She had a straight face. She was like, Mexican girl. They was like, girl, she done already told. She was like, I need to see. I need to see it out of her own mouth. Then they brought her in, and then I was like, the gig is up. And she was like, okay, the gig is up there. But other than that, if the gig wasn't up. So that is my story time, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until the next time, inspire, be inspired. I love you guys. God bless you.